bonjour. Well, now for gender. We already talked about this a little bit when I was talking about il or elle. And il or elle is our gender and that's similar to English. We have he and she. We have waiter, waitress, actor, actress. But in French, every noun has a gender. So even something like fruit, apple, orange, banana, pizza, hamburger, movie, pencil, eraser, all of those are going to have gender. And so it's going to be either masculine or feminine, and that will be tricky to you if you feel that you're missing something, like that there's some sign that should be telling you and making it very easy for you to pick. The truth is there's not really an easy way to pick between the two. So you have to know. When you memorize a word, you need to memorize it with an article. And the indefinite articles will be easier in general. Une or un. So un fruit, a fruit. Une pomme, an apple. And that's feminine, un fruit, masculine. So as you go and you learn words, memorize them with their gender. Some words are going to be obvious because that it's already evident by what it is, and usually that's when it refers to a person. So aunt versus uncle, grandmother versus grandfather, those are pretty self-explanatory. And for others, it's a little bit more clear if you're saying a student. So you say like Joe is a student, and étudiant is spelled in a masculine way because we know we're talking about Joe. But if we're saying Sylvette is a student, we know that we should spell student a feminine way. We're just going to add an E in this case because we know that Sylvette is a girl. So that's the easy stuff. Now, if it's not referring to a person, again, it gets a little bit more tricky. So, one, you need to just memorize them as you memorize those words. But we do have a few endings for masculine and feminine that will give you some hints. And if you see these endings, these endings of the words here, then chances are it's masculine, right? If you see a word ending in these letters, it's going to be feminine. Now notice, sometimes there's a rule where people think, oh, well, if it has an E, it just must be feminine. That's not the case. In Spanish, it's a lot easier to tell if it has an O or an A, like masculine and feminine. But in French, it's more subtle than that. We will add E's to make adjectives and some nouns feminine, but if you see one that you don't know and it has an E, it could still be masculine. For instance, look at our list of masculine endings. This has an E here, this has an E, this has an E, this has an E. So just because you see that E does not automatically make it feminine, look for these whole endings. But that said, the E will come in handy to make things feminine often. All right? So just remember, memorize your verbs with their gender. You can become familiar with this list, which will be helpful. And we do use an E to make things feminine. But just because you see the E at the end does not automatically make it feminine. Okay?